Hey, hey, Jillian here from Body You Crave. And, have you noticed that we are at war with food? Right? And it's like food in general. We're at war with carbs and fat and sugar and dairy and gluten and you name it, like we are at war with it. And it can be so overwhelming. I mean, it is just intense. And I think that's really problematic for a couple of reasons. So, number one, though, is it develops a really negative relationship to food. Right? Because we start to moralize food. Food is good or bad. And when food is an enemy, when we're at war with it is just an all out drag out enemy, right? Like it is a no holds barred. You are just vehemently opposed to this food. And it is just so bad. It is so destructive. You can't have just a little bit because it's so terrible for you. Right. And people say this about like sugar right now. That's kind of the big thing is sugar is so bad for you. It's so bad for your body. It's so addictive. It's so this, it's so that it. And while sugar is not necessarily, it's not often uh, good for your body, it actually can be good for your body. After a workout, it aids in recovery much better than just protein or carbs alone. Actually, having some simple sugars is really good for you. And that's part of why a lot of times people recommend drinking things like Gatorade or chocolate milk or things that have carbs and like just the sugar, because your body metabolizes it and it uses it and processes it better. Right? So is sugar always a bad thing? No. But this idea, though, that even sugar at certain times of the day, or if you don't work out, let's say, now it's a bad thing to have sugar, creates a really negative mentality and view around it, right? And it becomes, there's just a lot of animosity there. And if you're anything like me, your inner rebel comes out and it's like, screw you, I want the sugar, right? So the more we restrict it, the more we try and hold it tighter and push it away, and that the more that we make rules around it, the more that our psyche just wants it, right? The more we have cravings, the more we want it when we maybe didn't, because we put a rule on it, because now we've labeled it this really bad thing, and now we're bad if we have it. Right. So now I'm bad or I'm good based on what I eat or what I don't eat. And I caught myself doing this just a few weeks ago, actually. I was going to be like, oh, I was so good today. I only had this, or I didn't eat that. Right? How many of you have done that too? And it's very common. It's a very easy trap to fall into. And so, but the issue though, is that we moralize food and we go to war with it. And that means that we're at war with food. And then we become at war. And most of the time we're at war with our bodies to begin with. But now we're always kind of on the defense. We're always obsessing about what we can and cannot eat, rather than coming at it from a place of ease and peace and free flowing, all right? Which kind of sounds kind of woo-woo and everything. But if you are on this mentality of, well, I can have 70-30, like 70% of what I eat all the time is going to be really good, and 30% maybe not so great, that's awesome, because it's going to be something that you can do for the rest of your life, right? Because you don't have to give up your mochas. You don't have to give up the ice cream. We can make better choices, right? When it comes to drinking mochas or eating ice cream, we can still do better, right? Better is always better. It doesn't mean that you're perfect. It just means that we're getting better. We're making better steps. We're choosing to make it a little bit better. It doesn't mean that you forego it altogether or all the time. That's what really creates the psychological issues. Right. So when foods become bad, or when calories are bad, this is where I really got tripped up, was this idea around calories. And it's just calories in, calories out, right? It's just basic science. Just bullshit, by the way. But it really tripped me up, because then it was, okay, so I have to work out harder. I have to eat less. So essentially I have to starve myself if I want to lose weight and look good. And there came a point where like I'm working out more and I'm trying to starve it. Ideally, my body's like, I need food, right? It's like, help, I'm hungry, right? It's this instinct that kicks in, and it's like, oh shit, I better hoard, better store up what I've got. And it's going to go kick into the like cravings, and it's going to go for things like nuts and peanut butter, because those are really high sources of energy, high sources of calorie and fat, because I was trying to restrict it so much. That's what happens. Your body's trying to protect you, right? But we do this, we have the best of intentions, but we just have really bad information. And so when we demonize calories, though, then it really can spiral downhill very quickly, right? Because then if it's calories are bad, all calories are bad, then I'm bad for eating calories, and we have to eat. right? Like that's an issue that we run into. We have to eat and multiple times a day. And so now we're running into this issue of good and bad food and being good or bad for what we eat multiple times a day, or being bad because we're hungry, or not having enough willpower, or not, is there something wrong with us, feeling guilty because we're getting hungry and we want to eat because we just worked out and hello, like that's what your body needs. It needs to refuel. And so demonizing calories then can be so destructive too. And it can lead to this, bigger spiral and bigger snowball of, well, if all calories are bad, I need to do whatever I can to not eat. Like that's a very quick way to get downhill, or like very quickly in a bad negative way, right? Because we've gone from calorie, like food is good or bad, calories are good or bad. So now these calories are bad, all calories are bad. All right, I'm bad for eating in general, and just creates all of this baggage. And really it's never any one thing, right? It's always the compounding effect of a few small statements. It's a few small comments from your partner, or from your parents, or a sibling, or a friend, or things that you just hear and see in diet magazines, or in health or shape magazine, or whatever. It's very small statements that compound over time that really create total mind fucks. Like they create this big explosion of like shittiness everywhere, because it's just the little things though. So how do we stop that? What do we do? Right. Well, we have to stop moralizing food, and we have to adopt a better view of what we're eating and when. And so we often hear moderation is key, right? Well, you have to just moderate. You can have a little bit, and it's kind of a Weight Watchers approach. If you can eat whatever you want, just only in moderation, or only this much. And I think I'm not a full firm believer in Weight Watchers. I see what they're trying to do. But again, I think it's a bit flawed. But the issue is that we don't know how to moderate. And that's because moderation is the end result. It's not how you lose weight. It's what you can do after you've lost the weight, essentially. It's what you can do after you have a healthy relationship to food. Then you can moderate, because you're not turning to food for emotional reasons, for social reasons. You're not going after the chocolate because you're stressed out, or because you're bored and you want to distract yourself from whatever you're doing. Right? There's a clear reason as to why you're doing that. But we have to have that healthy relationship with food first. Right? So that's where it comes in. And when we're at war with food, we can't do that. Right? We're constantly battling it every single day, multiple times a day. We're constantly in this battle of food being good or bad, us being good or bad. We get nowhere. And that's destructive. Right? So that on top of everything else, like on top of our visions of ourself, of our worthiness, of our bodies, of our self-esteem and our confidence. I mean, there's so much else that goes into it. Our body image, that can be, just our relationship in this war on food can be even more destructive. And so I really want to challenge you to rethink this. How can you start to eat 70-30 all the time? 70%, you're good. You're eating real whole foods. You're nourishing your body with foods that you do well with, right? Not that I do well with, that you do well with, because everybody's going to be a little bit different. And 30%, it's okay. You cannot be perfect, right? And have the peace and the ease and the confidence to just keep moving on with life, right? Like don't get bogged down. If you have a pizza and popcorn night and you kind of feel like you overate, or maybe you're bloated and you just feel kind of gross the next day, you get back on track. You don't let it derail you for the next week or the entire weekend or whatever, right? Like one small bite is not going to derail you for the rest of the day. It should not. We need to have a healthier relationship to food, to where we can stand to have a little bit and we're all right. We can have a few bites and not need the entire pint of ice cream. We can eat, we can eat things on occasion without fear of totally binging on them, because there's a deeper reason why you're craving. If you can't let go, if you can't control yourself, there's a deeper reason and a deeper craving as to why that is. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're not sure how this might apply to you, or you feel like, okay, well, now I've narrowed it down, but what do I do? Then schedule a breakthrough call. So I do Body You Crave breakthrough calls. And those are just, it's 45 minutes where we can dive into the number one block that is holding you back, whether it's with food or body image or inner critic and just the negative self-talk that we can get caught up in. It's really identifying one clear place and removing that block. That way you can get moving, right? Because this can be a challenging place to be, and it's hard to know who to believe and what to do and what do I eat and how much and all of these things. We can get so caught up in just everything else that getting clarity around one small issue can be all the world. So head on over to jillianlama.com/breakthrough. And if you just want to chat, if you're looking for a little help, if you're like, man, that's me, then yeah, I'd love to chat with you. So if you found this video useful, like it, share it, tag a friend, and make sure that I know. Come say hello. All right, bye.